He needs to work on his posing. This is absolutely horrendous. Kind of looks like he's doing this. I'm surprised he hasn't nailed it by now. Coach Greg, and in today's video, Sam Sulek has a dad bod. Who else has seen Sam Sulek's new body? And so he's displayed the peak bulk, weighing in at 265 pounds, well over 15% body fat. And so people are weighing in like, what happened to him? I'll tell you what happened to him. He went on a bulk. He competed in bodybuilding. Almost everyone ends up exactly like this and oftentimes much heavier. He's still relatively lean, and by relatively lean I mean he's leaner than most people. He's perhaps not leaner than most bodybuilders, but a lot of people end up like this in the off season. You diet for so hard for perhaps 29 weeks. A random number, or is it random? He's 29 weeks out from the Arnold's, which he will be making his professional debut, and he's made the decision. The diet starts right now. And so if I were to do a competition, I would diet somewhere between 6, maybe 8 weeks. Myself, 6 to 8 weeks. I'm an old man. 6 to 8 weeks diet. Sam Sulek, his early 20s, using copious amounts of steroids. He needs 29 weeks to get in shape. And so, hear me out. Couldn't he have perhaps bulked a little bit less? Maybe stopped eating so many calories and just kept his body fat below 15%. You've all seen Urs. Urs has helped Sam Sulek. And when Urs unveils the physique, show the legs. He has cross striations upon cross striations. He's peeled. He has abs. He's perhaps somewhere between 10 and 12% body fat. Sam Sulek, he's going to have to diet for several months just to get into striking distance of looking like Urs in his off season. And so my personal opinion is an absolute waste. Because of that, because he decided to eat too many calories, he now has to diet for 29 weeks. 29! That's almost as low as Togi's IQ. This is peak form of his offseason. This is peak Sam Sulek. And so peak dad bod exhibit A. This is what people think is a dad bod, but in reality, it's an IFBB Pro offseason physique. And so this is what most IFBB pros actually look like in the offseason. And so let's examine this. He kind of looks like this. I would say the first thing Sam needs to do is to work on his posture. The shoulders, they need to go back like this. The difference would make. When you stand to the side, your shoulders shouldn't be in front of your chest. He's kind of walking around like that. It's going to make it very difficult for him to be a bodybuilder.
So I ate a ton of food yesterday, so I'm like...
And so the first thing everyone says is, I ate a lot of food yesterday. Yeah, okay, we get it. Food does in fact cause bloating. If you eat breakfast, you're not going to have as flat of a stomach. You're going to be perhaps a little bit more bloated. So that's normal. And remember, when you're on performance-enhancing drugs, testosterone, for example, it causes a lot of the testosterone convert to estrogen. It causes you to look a lot more puffy. Now, Sam, as you're looking at him right now, you might be thinking, bro is fat. He's anything but fat. He's over 15% body fat, but definitely below 20. And so he isn't fat. There's some signs you should be looking for. You can clearly see that he has the bicep vein, and it's actually very pronounced. He has a clear bicep vein going throughout his arms. And when you look at his stomach, it's smaller than his chest. You can see that he has pecs. They're well formed. You can see the deltoid. You can see the trapezius muscle. He has forearms. He has some vasculature in the forearms. And so he isn't fat. Next, I see veins in his chest. And I also see that he doesn't have a proper tan. If he had a proper tan, he would perhaps be stage ready. I kid, he wouldn't be stage ready, but he would look a lot leaner. And so myself, I do in fact have a very good tan. Next, he doesn't have amazing lighting. The down lighting, it isn't there. It's not presenting his physique to the best of his abilities. And so if he were to simply go in a different room, had amazing lighting, he would look perhaps 5% leaner. Notice the biceps, he has veins going throughout. He's got a vacuum pose. He's pulling it off. And you can see some of his abdominals during the vacuum pose. When bros are fat, they can't do a vacuum. They suck in their stomach, and all you see is it goes from being very fat to less fat, but still big. Sam is not all that fat. He needs to work on his posing. This is absolutely horrendous. Notice the delts are higher than the biceps. Kind of looks like he's doing this. Versus, look at the difference. Which is more impressive? So many young bodybuilders, they can't pose correctly. Sam, who's probably posed more in his lifetime than myself, I'm surprised he hasn't nailed it by now. And to the back, you look in the delts, you can see some striations in the rear delt. You see the vascularity in the forearms, and you can see some definition in his back. He is not all that fat. He has a lot of mass. It's just without a proper tan, without perfect lighting, it's less impressive than it once was. And so gone are the clear, definitive Christmas tree that he once possessed. But remember, this is his off season. And with the rear double bicep pose, you can see some muscle development, some definition, but not the deep kind of grooves and crevices that you would expect. But remember, he's on testosterone. He's on performance-enhancing drugs. It's causing him to have a moon face, a bit more puffiness. And trust me, back in my day when I was an IFBB pro abusing steroids, I looked significantly more bloated. Even though I was approaching single-digit body fat, I did not look it, especially in my face and neck. It looked completely different. Also, I do believe it makes you look older. And you can see some lighting coming in on the side. You can see his obliques. Guys who have 20% body fat, you don't see anything coming into the side. And so when you see him standing there, the light going across from him, you can see very clear outlined right down the center right here, as well as some lines on the side. That tells me he's getting close to 15% body fat. He has the size. He's doing the front lat spread. You can see it's very dark. You can't see all that definition, but you see the chest, you see the shoulders. And so this ain't no freaking dad bod. This is an off-season IFBB pro.
And I think my peak weight on like an extra heavy day was like 270, but I was substantially softer. Honestly, probably more than 5 pounds softer.
And so Sam is saying, look, last year at my peak off season, I was 270. Now I'm 265, but I was substantially softer than just 5 pounds. And so he's leaner now than he was last year. And so what that means, translation is, he's added a couple pounds of muscle. But remember, he needs to add about 10. And so he isn't there yet. He's only added a couple of pounds in an entire year. And you're thinking, well, how is that possible? Isn't bro on test, trend, and so on? Yes. But remember, he just went through a dramatic cut. He'd been cutting for months. And during that cut, it's significantly harder to put on muscle. And so it certainly could have halted his progress and made it more difficult to put on muscle.
This 5-month mark. So now what's going to change? What am I going to do differently?
And so he basically has just completed a 5-month bulk, and he's now going to go on a 7-month cut. Now, there is a better way. You can go on a 7-month bulk, but let's call it a mini bulk, or let's call it a main gain phase, where you go up to, say, 260 pounds. He's 265 right now. And you slowly go up to 265, but you make it all muscle. Rather than thinking you have to either be going up or going down, you can go up, maintain, and slowly put on muscle. That's what I would recommend, but it isn't as fun because you're going to the gym and every week you're pretty much looking the same. You can't put on a pound of muscle each and every week all the friggin' time. And so at some point you have to be happy with just main gaining. And it's not very fun. It's not glamorous. It's so much more fun to say, I'm on a bulk. Now I'm on a cut. Then I just say, yeah, I'm main gaining. I'm just going through life. I'm training.
Phase 1, glycogen depletion.
And so for the next 2 weeks, he expects to lose somewhere between 5 and 8 pounds of water, mostly just glycogen, from lowering the carbs in his diet. And he describes that this is not a fun time because you look a little bit smaller. You're not really all that much leaner because when you first go on a diet, you're using mostly carbs, not actually body fat. And so it's a little depressing.
Actually, definitely within 2 weeks, I'll finish kind of a weight drop a bit quicker than normal pace, and that is not any fat being burned. At least no substantial fat yet.
And so he says in the first 2 weeks, I'm not really going to lose all that much body fat. I really do disagree with that. In the first 2 weeks, he's going to lose a significant amount of body fat. It's just in the first day or two, he's going to be losing mostly water. But after that, most certainly he's going to be losing fat. And so what you need to know is when you first start the cut, you are in fact losing a lot of body fat. As the cut keeps getting longer, it becomes harder and harder to lose body fat because your metabolism is slowing down. Your body is slowing down how many calories that you're burning. It's literally causing you to fidget less, to move less. Your body is thinking, hey, if he's going to be eating less all the time, I need to have a way to conserve energy. And so less fidgeting and dancing and moving around, and perhaps your step count will go down. You'll notice you're burning fewer calories, and eventually you likely have to lower your calorie intake even more in order to keep losing weight.
But for me, every day I'm going to be kind of filling it more so to like half, maybe even a quarter. 200 grams of carbs is very different than 500, 600.
And so his plan is to go from eating 500 grams of carbs a day to about 200 grams of carbs. It's a very big drop. That's about 1,200 calories right there. And he wants to lose between 1 and 2 pounds of fat a week. To lose 1 pound of fat a week, you have to drop your calorie intake by 500 calories per day. 2 pounds a week, 1,000 calories per day. That's a massive deficit. And so if he's going from 500 grams of carbs to 200, that is already going to be too much.
So 250 grams of protein, 80-ish grams of fats, and then carbs to taste. So what does that add up to? 80 grams of fats is 720 calories. 250 grams of protein is 1,000. So that means from protein and fats, that's putting me at 1,720 calories. I need to eat a little bit more than that. So carbs, shit. I've got room for about 250.
And so he's going to drop his carbs down to 250 grams. His protein, about 250 grams. His fat, about 80. He says that's about 2,700 calories. That is where he's starting his diet.
This bulk, I actually didn't have to eat a ton to get to this size. I was really kind of bouncing around more like an upper 3,000 calories, not even getting into like consistent fives like before.
And he says at his peak of his bulk this time, he was in the upper 3,000, so not even 4,000 calories. Remember previously in old Sam Sulek videos, he was eating over 5,000 calories a day. He says it's absolutely not needed, and here lies the proof. He was eating under 4,000 calories and still got to 265 pounds.
I might I'll bounce around. I'll find a good middle ground starting point, so I'll probably up my carbs a little bit, if anything, and then just make sure I stick to it. Break up my food into however many meals or just snacks or like smaller portions. Don't exceed those limits, and then I just have to watch the scale.
And so essentially he's going from 3,900 calories to cutting at 2,700 calories. What I would have said to do is why not go to 3,500 calories and never approach 3,900. He could have then maintained for a long period of time, and then when he went on his diet, he could have went from 3,500 to 3,000. 3,900 to 2,700, that's 1,200 calories of a drop from day one. That is a lot. Your body is going to notice that. Smaller increments of dieting is a lot easier to sustain. Your body doesn't notice it as much. You're not going to see dramatic changes really quickly, but it's a lot easier to sustain.
You're either eating food or you're running off the energy you've got inside you already, So you're either plugging in your phone to the battery and the percentage is going up, or you're batteryless, your percentage is going down because you're not getting energy from an external source.
I like Sam's analogy. He says basically your body is like a cell phone. You're either charging it or it's losing power. If it's charging, that means you're eating. And if it's losing power, you're not eating. When you're not eating, like right now, making a video, I'm burning off energy. I'm burning off calories. I'm losing weight. If I'm eating and I'm putting in calories, I'm gaining weight. It's one or the other.
Make sure I do my cardio. It's the fucking basics. You could ask a 6-year-old kid how to get in shape. he'd probably say, you know, just exercise and eat less food.
And so he says, look, anyone that knows how to diet, you have to go through the cardio. You have to be able to put the fork down. You have to not be starving. Of course, it's going to be easier to lose weight if you have my cookbook 3.1. Absolutely amazing. You don't know what you're missing. But if you are very, very hungry, we have GLP Max. Reduce your appetite by up to 28%. That can make a significant difference. You go from being an 8 out of 10 hungry to a 6 out of 10. A lot easier to put the fork down. If you're interested in any of these things, including the Turk Builder Max and Turk Platinum, of course, enter code Greg for 15% off. And you know there's a money-back guarantee and a $20 gift card. And remember, if you're trying to get a leaner physique and you want to make it easier on yourself, why not hire Coach Greg to do your coaching? Please apply by clicking the link in description. And if you're interested in getting your blood work done, getting prescription medications, for example, Cialis, Viagra, or Telmisartan, the list goes on and on. It's very, very cheap. I need to highlight that. It's less than half price of almost any other clinic you're going to go and examine. And so if you want to get the cheapest prices with quality service, doctors can do it very, very quickly. Prescription pharmaceutical medications, enclomiphene, for example. Click the link in description. You just have to answer a few questions, take you a couple minutes, and you can get a prescription sent right to your door. Interested in that? Of course, code Greg can give you 10% off. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm. Don't forget about Momentous clothing as well. You can get that by clicking the link in description. Watch one of those 2 bloops. You can get the cookbooks, the Circle Diet book, the clothing line. Get to the website, and until next time, I am out.